Parents, what did you do to your child that they never forgave you for? But I received a call one day informing me she was in trouble of failing her physics class. She had been turning in all her work on time but was still doing poorly on the exams. It came as a shock to me since my daughter had always gotten excellent grades. When she came home that day, I confronted her about her physics grade. To be fair, she was super busy her junior year and was often stressed since she had a loaded schedule with sports, clubs, and AP classes as well. So when she came home that day, I could tell she was in a tense mood, but I knew I needed to address her failing the class before she actually did. As soon as she walked in, I told her to sit down. She looked annoyed at me but took a seat at the table. When I started lecturing her about her physics grade, she told me she was struggling in class but she was still trying her best. I told her that sometimes her best isn't good enough, and she needed to get her poop together and make sure she passed this class. She got angry with me for my response, and screamed at me to please get off her back. As I said before, we never really punished my daughter harshly while she was growing up, and when she raised her voice at me like that, something inside me snapped and I realized she needed a reality check. My daughter had a part-time job for about a year at that point. She used her paychecks to buy her first car, a crappy little thing from Craigslist, but she loved it. I didn't know much about my daughter's life, but I knew she cared about that car. So that's the route I used to punish her. As soon as she walked upstairs after yelling at me, I went online and got a quote for junking the car. I scheduled to have it picked up and junked that afternoon, and about 2 hours after my daughter's little outburst, she got to watch a tow truck pull her beloved car out of the driveway. I stood in the driveway while the truck hooked up my daughter's car, and after a second my daughter ran outside to the driveway and asked what the hell was going on. I told her the truth. I said that she had been messing up at school and she would be paying the price after evading punishment her entire life. She was just crying and begging the confused tow truck driver to leave her car, but I paid him extra to get it out of there faster. My daughter then called my wife, who was at work, but she had her phone off. After we watched her car get pulled out of the driveway, my daughter turned to me and said, "F you." Those were the last words she ever said to me, 8 years ago. My wife tore me a new one when she got home that day, and ended up undermining me by buying my daughter a new car in the same week. It was ridiculous. Anyways, I ultimately don't regret what I did, even if it cost me my relationship with my daughter. She had to learn about the real world someday, and I know I did the right thing by being the only person in her family to show her that actions had consequences.